Today we will learn about the first module of Diploma Engineering first semester. So as we know that in our professional skill subject from Diploma first semester, the first module topic is professional skill and the necessary terms related to professional skill and development. So first of all, we know that from this module all of you will get total 12 marks in our semester exam. So based on this mark pattern, so there are lots of topic-wise discussions we have to know during this discussion. So the first topic about we have to know from this chapter is what is professional skill, and after that we have to know the types of professional skill, and then what are the key elements of professional skill, and after that we have to know the 7 C's of vital, which is vital in effective communication skill, and then lots of differences and the necessity and importance of each and individual types of professional skills. So let's start it. So first of all, we have to know what is professional skill. So basically this one is our theoretical topic, so we will focus on theoretical discussion because there is not so much descriptive or calculation type problems, so we will discuss it. So first of all, we have to know what is professional skill. So professional skill is nothing but a two-way process in our day-to-day life communication process, where we can explain our thoughts, emotions, ideas and necessary data sharing between two individual personality. One is sender and another one is receiver. That's why professional communication skill is known as two-way process, where we can convey our thoughts, emotions and all necessary informations between sender to receiver. But we can't directly send it from sender to receiver. For that reason, we have to follow a decorum or cycle so that we can systematically and clearly share our thoughts between sender to receiver. So for that reason, we have to follow this cycle. First of all, professional skill is nothing but a two-way process of sharing our emotions, thought, informations and data between sender to receiver through a cycle. So let's draw this cycle. So from this cycle, we can know that professional communication skill is a cyclic process. So where sender sends a message through a encoding medium, and after that we need a medium to send this message to a receiver. So we can't directly send the message from sender to receiver. We have to follow a cyclic process. So this one is our cycle of communication process, through which the sender encode any message so that it can be easily understandable to the receiver. After encoding this message, the sender sends a message through a medium. Medium means the way through which we can convey our thoughts. It may be verbal medium, it may be non-verbal medium, it may be written medium, it may be oral medium, etc. So suppose sender sends a message through encoding via a medium to a receiver. So let's suppose sender is a people of French, and receiver is a listener of our, suppose as for example Italy. So the medium of sender and receiver of understanding this language is different. So sender is fluent in French and receiver is fluent in Italian language. So if sender directly sends a message from his language to receiver's language, then it is not a complete process of understanding. So for that reason, sender had to encode it so that receiver can understand. But when sender sends a message to receiver, the process of communication will not be successful or completed. For that reason, receiver also have to send a response to sender so that we can say it is a complete two-way process. After that, receiver decodes the same message with some feedback and sends it through a medium to a sender. So in this process, sender shares his information or her information properly with encoding to receiver, and then receiver sends after decoding to a sender. So this way we can say communication can be successful in a two-way process. So now we have to know the types of communication process in which sender can send his information or her information to a receiver. So mainly communication process is mainly of two types based on two individual category. First one is based on purpose, and then second category is based on medium. So based on purpose communication is mainly of two types. One is formal communication and another one is informal communication. So what does it mean by formal or informal communication in effective communication skill? Formal means it's a formal way of expressing our thoughts from sender to receiver. Formal means what? We are very much formal to another person. That means we are known to the person so that we can easily share our thoughts, information and data. So like that we can say formal communication is a process of communication through which sender is known to the receiver. Where in formal communication where sender sends the data in a formally manner, in a systematic manner, in a pre-scheduled manner. So this one is our formal communication. As for example, the communication between teacher and student. But in case of informal communication, we can say it is a process of communication where the sender and receiver are unknown to each other. That is, we can't know each of them. So for that reason, we have to complete our communication process. So how can we communicate? So we have to communicate with informal way, where the sender sends the message in some pre-scheduled manner. That means we have to discuss not in predetermined format. We have to discuss at a present time, at a present situation. This is one is our informal communication. As for example, the communication between an auto driver and a passenger, where both of them are different personalities. They didn't known to both of them from the first point to last point. And then secondly, based on medium, communication is mainly of two types. One is verbal communication and another one is non-verbal communication. So what is verbal and what is non-verbal? So verbal communication means it is a process of communication where we can use any word or language for sharing our thoughts and information between sender to receiver. So what does it mean by words or language? That means we use our words by means of mouth through oral medium. And what does it mean by language or any written format? It means we can write any letter from our hands. After that, send it to a receiver. So in this process, we use our mouth or our written words for expressing our thoughts. So this is our verbal communication where we can share our thoughts, emotions, ideas between sender to receiver in a written format or oral format. And what does it mean? As for example, before starting non-verbal communication, the example of verbal communication is writing a letter to a receiver or sending a WhatsApp message to a receiver. Now move to non-verbal communication. What does it mean by non-verbal communication? Non-verbal communication is a communication process where we can't use any word or language. So how can we communicate without using any word or language? Yes, we can complete a communication process in non-verbal communication rather than using any word or language. So how can it possible? Yes, it's possible by means of some physical movement, hand movement, eye contact, and then our body posture, gesture, etc. Yes, by means of our hand movement, by means of our eye contact, we can also communicate. This process is known as our non-verbal communication. Suppose as for example, if anyone asks us, then where is the water bottle? Then we can directly reply without using a single word or language by our hand signs or eye contact that here is the water bottle. By indicating our body hand movement, body movement, we can indicate the position or location of the object so that the communication will be successful through sender to receiver. This one is our non-verbal communication. As for example, the communication between physically special childs. If any child can't use his voice or suppose any written format, so we can say non-verbal communication is the easiest way for expressing their thoughts by indicating the object by physical movement or physical indicating. So this is the main two types of verbal communication and non-verbal communication based on medium. So further, verbal communication is classified in two types. One is oral communication, as I explained in my previous description, and another one is written communication. So what does it mean by oral communication and written communication? We can know the answer from these two types. Oral means what? Oral means our voice. Oral means our mouth, through which we can complete our communication process. And what does it mean by written communication? Written communication means we can complete our communication by means of some written manner. It might be writing a letter, it might be writing a slide or anything like that. So there are two different types of verbal communication. In oral, we can use our mouth. In written, we can use our hands. So if in our semester exam, a question will be arrived like state the difference between oral communication and written communication for 6 marks, we can easily write oral communication is the fastest process of communication, where written is a lengthy process. Because in written communication, we have to write the information and it takes time. But in oral communication, it's the fastest process because we can express our thoughts, emotions in orally very, very fastly. Secondly, oral communication. In oral communication, we can't use any linguistic written manner. But in written communication, we can write any paper or any other formats for communication. Thirdly, oral communication, easy to generate the understanding between sender and receiver, but in case of written communication, it takes time and it's a little bit complex than oral communication, so that it's not so much effective for creating understanding between sender and receiver. So there are lots of differences there between oral and written communication. So now move to another special type of communication which is not lies under medium or purpose. This one is our technical communication. So what does it mean by technical communication. In our modern generation, we can know that communication is a vital process. Without communication or professional effective communication, we can't express any thoughts, emotions in a worldwide spreading medium. Suppose we are in a classroom. There are lots of students out there. Few are most frequenting Bengali language, few are in Kokborok, few are in English, few are in Hindi. So it's not possible to continue in different languages. So for that reason, we have to adopt a worldwide language. Which one is our professional skill development language or English language? So through English, we can communicate very easily between all among the category of students. In present generation or in present situation, we can say English is a vital language for understanding our thoughts worldwide. So what are the benefits of effective communication in our day-to-day present life? Yes, professional skill can generate our confidence in a challenging or in a competitive market. It can increase our speaking skill. It can improve our person-to-person varying capacity. It can increase our adaptability. It can it can improve our problem-solving skills. It can improve our professional interview skills. It can improve our various panel discussion creativities. So we can say the professional skill is a vital in present situation. So technical communication is a vital term associated with in present technical situation, or especially for engineers, or whatever we can say, especially for technical peoples, those peoples which are associated with technology. So technical communication is nothing but a two-way process of sharing our thoughts, emotion, ideas between a sender to receiver in some technical manner or by using some technologies. As for example, we can say anything like orally, like written manner, but when we use any technology in our linguistic or in our oral communication, this one is known as technical communication. So as for example, if we prepare a presentation slide, if we prepare email writing, if we prepare a video, a Google Meet presentation, etc., in which we have to know technology, this is lies under technical communication. So the examples of technical communications are PPT, then email writing, then whatever we can say, manual writing, then we can say FAQs preparation, frequently asked questions preparation, then we can say Google Meet presentation, etc. Where we can use some technologies for sharing our thoughts and emotions. Okay, so this is our technical communication. So there are lots of types of technical communication like presentation preparing, then manual writing, then email writing, then Google Meet presentation, then FAQs preparation, etc. So those are the different types of communication process where we can express our thoughts, emotions, etc. between sender and receiver. So the next step is the 7 C's of effective communication. So what does it mean by 7 C? In each and every communication process, we have to maintain some decorum so that the communication process will be fruitful and effective. That's why the name is effective professional communication skill. If the communication process is not effective, then we can't say this communication process is successful. So for that reason, we have to draw a cycle, which one is mainly known as 7C cycle of communication process, which are most repeated question in our semester exam for diploma engineering first semester professional skill development subject. So the question will be arrived for 6 to 7 marks in our semester exam. Most repeated question. Remind my words. So what is 7 C's of effective communication? 7C. So what does it mean by 7C? As we know, communication starts with a word or alphabet C. So here are 7 C's which is used in our communication process. So those 7 C's create our communication process successful. So what are those C's? First C is clarity. Second C is concreteness. Third C is completeness. Fourth C is conciseness. Fifth C is courtesy. Sixth C is consideration. And the last and foremost C is our correctness. So these 7 C's are vital in our communication process. Without these individual 7 C's, we can't complete our communication process. So here the first C means clarity. What does it mean in communication process? Clarity means something we have to express in clear format. So what does it mean by clear format? When we communicate between any person or individual sender and receiver, we have to express our thoughts and emotions clearly so that both of we can understand each of our feelings and understandings. So the message should be clear so that we can say it is a important process of 7C. Second C is concreteness. What does it mean by concreteness? Concreteness means something which we will communicate should be specific. What should mean by specific? Specific means something which we will express to the point. If we can't communicate to the point, then the communications process will be lengthy. So we have to express our thoughts from point to point so that it can be easy to understand. So this one is our concreteness, means specificness. Third C is completeness. If we can't complete our communication process or message sharing or data sharing or information sharing, we can't say that our communication is successful. We have to complete at a time, at a speech, so that the complete communication will be done. Fourth C is conciseness. What does it mean by conciseness? Conciseness means to briefly or summarizely express something. If we elongate our communication process, then it will take lots of time. So it will waste our energy and it will waste our time also. For that reason, we have to make conciseness means to concise a sentence, to short a sentence, to minimize the sentence. The fifth C is courtesy, which one is a vital part of communication process. Without courtesy, we can't say that communication can be successful. What does it mean by courtesy? Courtesy means simply politeness. During communication, we have to maintain the politeness or whatever we can say, the essential parts which will increase our listen and understanding power. So we have to politely represent our communication process and we have to represent it to our listener also. Because if we can't respect our listener, then how can we communicate? We have to maintain a polite behavior between sender and receiver. Then 6C is consideration. Consideration means we have to consider the sender and receiver also so that we can easily consider the topic of our communication and easily express it to the medium. The 7C is correctness. Correctness means what? We have to express our thoughts correctly without any wrong information. That means free from grammatical errors and other drawbacks, so that it can be easily adoptable by the listener also. So So those are the 7 C's of effective communication process, which is vital in today's world. Now, as I explained lots of important topics earlier, what is process of communication, what is communication, what are the types of communication, what are the 7 C's of effective communication. Now, back to some problems or some barriers which can generate some disturbances in our communication process or some stimulative drawback, we can say. What are the stimulative drawbacks or what are the barriers of effective communication? So if we have to complete our communication process, we have to maintain all and we have to overcome all barriers which are the drawback in our communication process. So what are those barriers? There are major 3 to 5 barriers are there in our effective communication process. We have to overcome these barriers during each and every communication process. So what are those barriers of effective communication process? First one is physical barrier. Second one is psychological barrier. Third one is language barrier. Fourth one is our organizational barrier. Fifth one is our cultural barrier, and there are lots of barriers are there. So what are those barriers? Those barriers can disturb our communication process. Suppose first one is physical barrier. Which type of problems can generate during physical barrier? First problem is when we communicate a person or a listener in a long distance, then the communication process have to face few disturbances, like we can't easily share our thoughts, emotions in a short time, and we can't get a feedback properly, and we can't generate a proper understanding between sender and receiver. That means physical barrier. Physical means when a sender and receiver in a long distance, we can complete our communication process properly. For that reason, we have to maintain a distance or physical distance. That means in short, physical distance, the communication process will be very effective also and doubt solving also. So we have to maintain the physical barrier. As for example, I am in India and another one is in England. So we have to maintain some non-verbal communication or oral communication process or written communication process, so that we can express our thoughts. But it will take lots of time and it will not so much effective for completing our communication. So this one is our physical barrier. When two people are close to each of them, then the communication process will be successful. Then second one is psychological barrier. What does it mean by psychological barrier? Psychology means a topic or a subject which deals with human brain, or whatever we can say, human mindset, okay, or any living creature's mindset. So each and everyone have different mindset. So if a sender have any mindset and the receiver have another one mindset, so if both of them have different mindset or psychology, then communication process will not be successful. For a proper communication process, we have to maintain an equal or same psychology, so that we can easily understand the topic. As for example, I am a teacher and my responsibility is to express anything to our students. So my responsibility is to express to our students, and the students' responsibility is to listen my lectures. But suppose my mindset is to express something to my students, but the students' mindset is not like me. If they are arrived here for some gossiping or forming some disturbances, then if I will explain anything to them, they can't capture it properly. So this is a vital point of psychology. So we have to maintain equal psychology so that we can complete our communication process. The third barrier of communication process is linguistic barrier, as I mentioned in my earlier topic. So suppose I am an Indian people with which one is more confident and fluent in Hindi. As for example, I am sender and the receiver is from France. So he is most fluent or frequent in French language. So if as a sender, if I explain anything in Hindi, he or she can't capture it. So for that reason, we have to maintain a linguistic medium so that we can easily express our thoughts and vice versa. As for example, if he or she also explain anything in French language, I can understand as an Indian. Okay, so this one is our linguistic barrier, and then the fourth barrier is our organization barrier. What does it mean by organization barrier? As for example, I am employee of any MNC or multinational company where the medium of language and medium of rules is different from a small town company, or whatever you can say in a village company or village sector also, where we are less technical, we are less confident, we are less so much fluent. So where if we can't adjust it in a big company or MNCs, we have to face some organizational barriers for our communication process. Like my boss is a MNC company's owner, and I am a small village person. So if I work in a MNC as of my first time or first experience, I can't easily adjust my communication process from a village to a MNC, direct MNC. So this is our organizational barrier. And the last and foremost barrier is our cultural barrier. What does it mean by culture? Culture doesn't mean our religion. Okay, the language of each and every religion is almost same, but the culture means our social and cultural norms. As like I am a civilized people of town, and there are lots of tribes are there in India or whatever you can say in world. There are lots of tribes, those who are not so much civilized. As a human being or as a civilized person, we term them as a non-civilized people, but actually they are not non-civilized. They are civilized in their own region, and we are civilized in our own region. So if there are different civilization are there, we can't complete our communication successfully through a barrier, which one is known as cultural barrier. So those are the few important barriers which can generate some problems in our effective communication process. So I have almost completed lots of important topics which must be covered in your semester exam, and the most of the important questions will be arrived from these topics. So now the few small topics are there remaining in our effective communication process, like our feedback, why feedback is necessary in communication process, and what are the differences between verbal non-verbal communication, what are the differences between technical communication and verbal communication, etc. Those questions also will be asked in our semester exam for 5 to 6 months. Okay, and the another last topic for today's discussion is what are the roles of individual topics like clarity, posture, gesture, etc. in our effective communication. Okay, so another topic is there are some differences between some communication process, like what are the difference between verbal non-verbal communication, what are the difference between oral and written communication, and what are the difference between formal informal communication, what are the difference between our whatever we can say technical communication or verbal communication, etc. Those questions mostly asked in our semester exam in previous PYQs. Okay, so topic wise let me discuss shortly. First of all, verbal and non-verbal communication. Verbal is a communication process where we can use our any word or language, and non-verbal communication means where we can't use any word or language. Verbal communication process is more clear to express our thoughts in a lengthy process where we use any word or language, and non-verbal communication is not so much clear, but it's easy to express our emotions and thoughts and information, etc. Verbal communication takes lots of time, where non-verbal communication takes less time. And then if we move in differences between oral and written, as I expressed earlier also, in oral we can use our mouth, in written we can use our hand. In oral we can't use any written format of writing, but in writing communication we use any pen, paper, etc. And the differences between technical communication or non-verbal communication is, in technical communication we use technologies which is associated in today's world, but in case of non-verbal communication we sometimes use technology or sometimes not. This is not a credibility or any some factors which must be needed in our verbal communication. So technology we use in technical communication, and in non-verbal communication is also known as non-technical communication also. So as for example, in differences in verbal communication, we can use writing a letter, writing anything, WhatsApp text, etc. But in case of technical communication, examples are preparing a presentation, PPT, preparing a FAQ, frequently asked question, preparing a Google Meet presentation, etc. So those are the different differences between different types of communication process. And for my today's last topic, why the hand movement, eye contact, and then our posture, gesture are important tools as a non-verbal communication. So why these key points are very much vital in non-verbal communication. Suppose, as for example, we are not so much confident by using our words or written format, we can use our hand movement, which is a vital tool in our non-verbal effective communication. It takes less time also, because if we write a letter, any language, it takes lots of time, it takes any energy also, where it can waste our energy also. But in case of non-verbal communication, if we use hand movement to indicate something, to communicate properly, so this one is very much vital for saving our time and saving our energy also. And eye contact is another topic of our professional non-verbal communication skill, where we can use our eye to eye movement or eye to eye contact, so that we can make us so much confident during our communication process. So as for example, I'm in a room of interview panel board. So if I fluently speak anything to my interviewers or the interview takers or sir or madams, so if I can speak fluently through eye to eye contact, then it makes us fluent and confident also. So eye contact is very much important in our non-verbal communication skill. Then there are lots of topics or components, parts are there in non-verbal communication, as I expressed, like body movement, etc. So according to this present situation, we can say in non-verbal communication, those topics are very much crucial for expressing our thoughts, emotion, rather than using word or language. So I think I have almost covered all my topic for this module of professional English skill. Most of the questions which will be repeated in your previous semester questions, I have talked each and every topic with this short period of time. And yes, one more topic left, which one is known as visual communication. This is another one exceptional part of communication process, as like technical communication. So what is visual communication? Visual communication means is a communication process where sender and receiver are not communicate by using any word. They are expressing their emotions, thoughts, etc. by their visual interaction. Like I am standing here and I am looking at this any poster or like that. So if I look at this poster, so I can communicate with this poster properly. How can we communicate? There is a poster of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. So this one is a non-living thing. This one a poster, and I am a living thing. So I can also communicate with non-living thing also. How can we communicate? Not by using any word or language. We can communicate by our visual interaction. What does it mean by visual interaction? What's the need of communication process? The needs of communication process is to get some information, get some feedback, so that we can improve our day-to-day interaction. So what I need from this picture? Some information. So I get some information from this picture of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose as attached in this wall. So from this poster, I can easily know this one is Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, and the color of this poster is greyish color and laminated with some silver or silver color frame. So those informations I can get without using any single word. From my eye contact, I can easily get understanding thoughts from this picture. So those informations we can get from any graphics, design, drawings, etc. by not using any single word. This is known as our visual communication. Okay, so I have almost covered 100% of my today's topic for your first semester module 1 from professional English communication skill. So those are very much important topics for your syllabus. And another Topic is you have to be fluent in your present life also, not for getting marks. You have to be fluent in your day-to-day life, and you have to be make yourself confident by using a communication process. And you don't forget about giving a feedback also in each and every communication process, because feedback is a vital term which is used in our communication process to get improve ourselves. So best of luck for your exam.